I think this is definitely the most talented generation of Nigerian football players. I think so. The level of talent across the board.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Today I have with me Andrew, as usual. Tosin is in here, and then we have a special guest, Ayo T, aka Eagle Striker. Nice to have you on here again, bro.
Thank you for having me. Big fan of the pod, so always happy to be on when I get a chance.
Yeah,
It's nice having you. I think this is our first time not having Tosin ever. Is it the first time?
yeah, I think this is the first time Tosin. And for everyone who cares, Tosin is on vacation, so
yeah. And they got the best replacement possible. So
true. Eagle Striker on the pod, so we couldn't have asked for someone better. And I guess for everyone who doesn't know Eagle Striker, not fond of Ayo T, I'll give a little intro and then I'll let him, take over. So essentially, Eagle Striker he's the founder of Eagle Striker. They focus on Nigerian football and Nigerian football talent. So like both men, women, you're just keeping track of, they're like a go-to source for anything Nigerian football. So if you're interested in any player that's playing anywhere around the world, typically Europe or anywhere, honestly, you can find information about those players on his platform. But yeah, I'd say you can definitely add to that.
I mean, you said it's pretty much just keeping tabs, keeping people updated, and sharing the stories of Nigerian footballers all around the world. I've done over 100 interviews at this point with various Nigerian footballers, from legends like Taiwo, Vincent Iyama, to current stars like Victor Osimhen, Taiwo Awoni, to upcoming young players that you may never have heard of. We're just trying to keep fans more updated about Nigerian football players, and also to help these players share their stories, because as you can imagine, Nigerian footballers have very, very amazing stories coming from whatever part of the country that they came from to playing in top leagues around the world. So it's just pretty much it. You can check us out on any social media platform and enjoy the content.
Yeah, for sure.
I've always had questions to ask you regarding Eagle Striker, just generally, what was the inspiration behind this? Because I have a friend that was exactly like you, very, very interested in Nigerian football. He literally knows where every player is, unknown. I know there's so many players in Europe. He has all the tabs of where everybody is, but he just never made it he never just sat down one day and was like, okay, let me make content out of this. So I'm assuming what triggered you on to start this this venture of yours.
It was, I'll say, in university I was about to write my finals, and I was just thinking of my life. I studied computer science. I'm like, okay, I'm getting good grades, I'm about to write finals. What do I really want to write code for the rest of my life? I think that was the first thought that I kept on thinking. And I was like, no, I don't, I don't love this thing. I guess God blessed me enough to be able to know it, and to be able to do it. But I don't love it. What do I love? I love football. I love business. So being in Canada, like you guys, we know how the time difference affects us in terms of watching games. Yeah, trying to wake up at 7 a.m. to watch your team, things like that. So, and I always had that issue of Nigerian football players not knowing how they performed. If say you go out on a Friday night, you oversleep before you wake up on Saturday, it's 12. You've already missed God knows how many matches, and things like that. And there was nowhere for me to be able to just easily go and see, okay, this is how this guy performed today, this is how that guy performed today. So I kept on having the problem, and it's like what they say, if you face a problem over and over again, why not be the solution? So that was kind of how it was for me. So I was like, you know what? I'll start doing this thing, I'll dedicate my time. It's a lot of time and effort, but I'll help people to keep track of these players, so that when a national team camp is coming up, and we're talking about players getting caught up, people are not asking, who's this guy? Who is that guy? How is he doing? Oh, why is this guy not being caught up instead? There's, the fans are well informed. And then something that I grew to realize, that it wasn't even only people that are abroad that were having this issue. Even people that are in Nigeria, people that are in Europe, they don't have this information, readily being given to them. So it ended up honestly being a lot more difficult than I expected it to be. but also it ended up being a lot more fulfilling because it's really helped people. From doing this, I've helped certain Nigerian players get national attention. There's players that have gotten called up because somebody from the NFF saw them on Eagles tracker and then reached out saying, "Oh, who's this guy?
Wow, that's
Get
crazy.
me his number." Things like that. So a lot of players respect the platform. They know the value that we add. So it's just been great. I can't even complain at all.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't even lie. Like during the AFCON, your platform was like my go-to for literally anything AFCON. So yeah,
Bless
I
up.
yeah, and
think
I
you're
think
doing a good job.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
nah, yeah, man, because I think that was actually there was a huge gap there between Nigerian players and the fans essentially. Because when you look at places like, say, let's use England for example, just because we watch a lot of Prem, right? Obviously, England is their home country, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But the availability for those stats and everything, like, is just there. It's not hard for you to find a particular player and say, okay, where's this guy? There's this English player that has now moved to, call it Sweden, call it Spain, wherever it is. It's hard to keep track of those players. But with Nigerians, you might not even know a Nigerian exists in a different part of Europe because there's literally no way for us to track that. Literally, there's no
you. Yep.
way.
Except if you play
So
like games or you play all
Yeah.
this FM. There's no other way.
exactly,
It's like,
there's no way.
you can imagine like TV coverage in Nigeria. Say everybody uses DSTV for the most part. They are showing maybe the Prem, La Liga, Serie
Yeah,
A, Bundesliga, and League On. If somebody is playing in somewhere in Norway, if you're in Nigeria, like there's no
yeah,
way you're going to watch that guy play.
Mhm.
Someone is playing
Yeah.
in Bangladesh, but
yeah.
for sure you're
You
not going to
never.
watch the
Yeah,
person play. So it was just trying to plug those gaps, and help players have more visibility because again, other than them just even reaching the fans, some players have been able to get moves to better leagues just from people seeing them and saying, okay, if this guy is scoring 20 goals in Malaysia, maybe he can score 15 goals in some other low European league. You go to Latvia, you score 20 goals in Latvia. Oh, maybe he can score 10 goals in France or 10 goals in Germany. So it's been helpful for players on that front as well in terms of making moves in their career.
yeah, for sure.
I have one take. This is one thing that I don't think we discussed it earlier, but um have you, maybe I'm the only one seeing this or maybe everyone is noticing, but with the vibe and the, what's the word now, with the ginger that Afrobeat is coming with, like Afrobeat to the world, the movement. I feel like there's also a Nigerian or Super Eagles to the world type thing where we're having more more Nigerian footballers across all like sides of football, female, youths, whatever. I feel like there's just more Nigerian footballers becoming superstars than before. I think we had less superstars and we're getting more now. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but it's just the same way we're having more like Afrobeat artists, doing it better on doing it more on the big stage. I feel like we're having more Nigerians as well, in football doing the same thing. Do you have the same
You know, I would
belief?
say it depends on who you ask. I know some people that are big historians on Nigerian football and they will blatantly disagree with you. But I think one of the things that is available now that wasn't available there is the visibility, which like even Eagle Striker is helping with that visibility. Because when you think about it, we've had Nigerian players play for top teams in the past. But
Yeah, but
there
not
was
not as
no,
much in
not
the
as
same
many.
time.
I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying, but if we really crack down the numbers, it's pretty close, you know.
possibly.
Um, but it's just that now there's a lot more noise around them. There's a lot more visibility. When a Nigerian player gets into any of the top leagues, people are talking about them. People are posting them. Fans are knowing how they are performing. Before, like one of my recent interviews that I did with Antonio Uja, like this guy played like 10, 11 plus years in the Bundesliga. Ain't nobody really know who he is. But he literally
This
played, he didn't play for
is
Bayern,
my first time
but
hearing his name.
see, he played for Werder Bremen, played for Cologne, played like 12 years in the German Bundesliga. And people don't really
Wow.
know who he is. But other people just get into the league now. Eagle Striker is covering them. And since the inception of Eagle Striker, like, we've inspired so many different people. There's now so many different people that are trying to do what we are doing.
Yeah,
Even like mainstream media in Nigeria, like say the Brilla FM that we've all known about,
Yeah.
or channels. They've now all like created segments in their content to focus on Nigerian footballers abroad. which is something that they were not
Yeah.
doing 5,
Before.
6 years ago. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot more visibility. But what I will say, in my own opinion, I think this is definitely the most talented generation of Nigerian football players. I think so. The level of talent across the board is just immense. Forget even people that are just in the top leagues. The talents that we have just spread out across Europe in general is so much. I don't think we've ever had the kind of pool that we have now.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree, man. And it's like, to Andrew's point, I think is visibility. I think it's a visibility thing where we just are seeing all of them going, at the same time. And it's like you have guys like, say, Osimhen and Boniface, for instance. Like, I feel like those are two guys that have been really good over the last, couple years. And then in Premier League as well, I feel like now we have more Nigerians, let's just say more noticeable in a sense at the same time. Like, there's probably, I don't just call out a number, but there's a good number. Like, even in Nottingham Forest, you have
You're
what's
like
his guy's
four
name?
of them
And
or
I
three
know.
of them.
Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? So it's just like
I feel like every weekend a Nigerian scores in Premier League. Like
Yeah.
it's just happening
But
every weekend. One
in the
Nigerian
Prem,
boy is
though,
scoring.
in the Prem, for sure, we've not had this number before.
Yeah.
In the Prem, typically we have like 3 Nigerian players. At the point, Iwobi was the one that was carrying that Nigeria this thing in the Premier League. But now we've had more people joining. I think we have like
Now
8.
we have it.
I think we have like 8 Nigerian players now in
And
Prem.
I think
So
even guys that are not fully that are not playing for the Nigerian national team but are Nigerians are also shedding some light indirectly, right? Like you have guys like Saka that come into that. You see guys saying guys like Olise, Eze, they should come play for the Nigerian
Madueke.
national team. Like exactly,
Yeah.
Madueke. You get Chukwemeka. Like all these guys are full on Nigerians.
Yeah,
So
very Nigerian.
exactly. So it's just like I feel to Ayo T's point, there's a lot of them now. And honestly, I feel it has a lot to also do with, call it, when, I don't want to say like immigration or migration to a certain extent. A lot of families, like their parents, for instance, probably moving to the UK at a certain point. And a lot of these guys then growing up in the UK. And obviously, one thing I always say is like, Nigerians are actually very talented in everything we do, right? It's just a matter of like properly grooming talent. And I feel those guys, exactly. I feel like those guys being in the UK in an environment where you're actually being developed the right way, which you hardly ever have the opportunity in the Nigerian system. There's so many Nigerians in, like when you look at this youth teams, like they're under 21 teams, under 18 teams, like
it's full Nigerian at this point.
There's so many Nigerians there.
English youth teams, Irish youth teams, Scottish youth teams. The number of Nigerians not make sense. And Sikade, just to join your points with Andrew's point, I think it also helps that, like Andrew said, with Afrobeats making Nigeria cool in general, we now have these foreign-born players that find it cool to play for Nigeria. Before we had people like Jordan Ive that will be looking down on us like, oh, why are they coming to play for Nigeria? But now, like, realistically, like, Madueke knows that, okay, I might want to play for England, but if I give myself a couple years or more, Nigeria's there, like, it's not going to be like a knock on your career to say you're representing Nigeria, because the talent is there, the team is cool, the country is cool now, so people actually want to play for us more.
Bruh. And I wish it's not too late, but this is hope, this is wishful thinking, but like I feel like there's a way NFF can just make Nigerian national team like much more attractive for these players, because if you make it attractive to these guys, I don't see why they wouldn't want to, because to your point, Ayo T, there's talent. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you're looking at a team and you're just like, bro, like their footballers, they can also see where it's just like, bro, this team can compete. Do you get? If they're now inviting you to a team where from start to finish, we're as good as, most teams or whatever, you'll be more than happy to join such a squad. But then again, I feel like there's just so much outside of football that you have to deal with. We're saying you want to play for Super Eagles.
Like you said, that is the NFF. Ultimately, it comes down to them, because Madueke now, is he happy to be paying for his flight with the promise that they will give him the money back? It's those kind of little things.
I was say something. I feel like CAF, like the federation and the competition, like the CAF AFCON, I feel like it has a huge part to play as well with like players coming back. Because if you watch this last AFCON, it wasn't really about like there was Nigerian talent, but other countries also had their own
Yeah,
talents that that have the similar story with Nigeria, like immigrant parents and everybody, and
yeah,
they came back home to represent their country. It's because the competition is getting more attractive. I feel like if they invest more in the competition, because at the end of the day, if you're bringing them to come back and you're playing in some stadium that can injure them, it doesn't really help their career. But if you're bringing them to come back home and they're going to play in a competition that is organized properly and can compete with like the UEFA Euros or other competitions continentally, then it becomes something like a badge of honor. I feel like back in the days, winning AFCON was like, it was nice, but like, it wasn't a big deal. But now, if you win AFCON, you can beat your chest and be like, I'm an African champion. Like, and it's giving more value now than it was like when I was growing up. But I
yeah.
feel like if they put in more effort into AFCON, I feel like it won't even be, it will be a no brainer. Players will be looking for Nigeria easily, like, or the African countries easily. It won't be a second choice thing. It will just be of which team suits me better. Like it won't be like, oh, second choice, but and I think even then, if CAF is more organized, then it will trickle down into our NFF and probably make things even like
Yeah.
more organized on that front.
No,
I
I
think
That's
think
what I
you're
think.
right. You're right regarding the AFCON, And I'll give credit to the current CAF president, Patrice Motsepe. He has actually stepped things up. He has improved the organization.
Yeah,
Prize money has gone up a lot more as
exactly.
well. But the biggest thing is that when it comes to organizing these competitions, I think the biggest thing that Europe has, America has, that we don't have is money. At the end of the day, all these things come down to money. You need sponsors, you need all those kind of things to make it as world class as possible. So we're still far behind like the Euros, in terms of just the branding, the marketing, all those kind of things. It also doesn't help us too much that there's an
We
AFCON game
play
today,
mid-season.
there's a Prem game tomorrow, those
Yeah,
kind of
but
things.
I heard
So it divides
FIFA has
audiences.
changed the AFCON time.
The thing with the AFCON is it just depends on the country that's hosting. The next AFCON is going to be in the summer
Yeah.
because it is in Morocco and
Oh,
their temperature, the climate there is good in the summer.
Yeah.
But
okay.
if you want to play AFCON in the summer in
Summer,
Lagos
yeah.
now, you'll be doing water break every 15 minutes
Yeah.
because the players will
You
be
be
there.
my kill the players, man.
That's
If
true.
it's way
No,
way too
but
hot.
that's really not like an excuse, if anything, because World Cup had to go through the same thing
But but
because of where they
Qatar,
were
look
playing
at
it.
the technology that they put AC
Oh,
inside
true,
of the
true,
stadium.
true.
We
They
don't
have
have that
money.
kind of
True.
money in Nigeria.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Or they'll put
You're
AC after 1 year, it won't be working again.
right.
So, well, I mean, things
That's
are
um,
true.
getting
Yeah,
better,
that's true.
sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
yeah.
What's next on our agenda?
Anyways, I wanted to ask. So I think we've already touched on this to a certain extent, right? Which is in terms of like the Nigerian national team right now, and honestly, we can even throw in like the Falcons in there as well, right? Where more like projection for the future, like looking at the talents we have right now for the next say 5 years, for the next say two major competitions, like what are we really like? What are realistic expectations for us to like set for those teams? And I know Nigeria, like Super Eagles, were kind of in the middle of. I don't know if we've gotten someone yet, but like I don't think we have a head coach right now.
No, we don't have a head
Oh,
coach yet. We're still
Caretaker.
hearing a lot of names. There's this the current coach of Fortuna Sittard in the Netherlands.
yeah,
I don't know I don't know how to pronounce his name, but his name came up recently.
yeah,
The unfortunate thing with Nigerian selecting head coaches is that you can never really trust the NFF to hire the right person. At the end of the day, you have to support whoever they hire.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's either they hire one coach from abroad that you've probably never heard of, and then you now have to be Wikipedia the person after they hire him, or they hire a coach from Nigeria that, with all due respect, the person just hasn't coached at that level before. So it's going
yeah,
to be difficult for them to even, perform well. But in terms of expectations, I always say my belief in the Super Eagles for this past few years has just been because of the level of talent that we have. Missing out on the last World Cup was an absolute disgrace, was a shame, But I think targets for this next World Cup that's coming up, first of all, we need to qualify. Now we've not qualified yet, but I think we need to be able to go to the World Cup and get to the quarterfinal. We have the talent to do it. I believe that our team is more talented than Morocco, They are just way more organized and better coached than we are.
Yeah.
If we can get everything right, I don't see why we cannot get to at least the quarters. God wants to shine his light on us, maybe the semis of a World Cup. I won't say we should win World Cup yet. That was a bit too far. But at least
If we win
quarters.
our next World Cup, it will be crazy.
But But the bare minimum for us is that we should win the next AFCON. I mean, we just got to the AFCON final and we lost.
Yeah,
I think the bare minimum is we should be winning the next AFCON.
Yeah. One thing you touched on that I so very much agree with is the fact that I actually think we are the most talented team, like most talented African team. I don't think there's any African team that has more talent than Nigeria, but we're just never well coached, in my opinion. Like I feel like that's always our problem. And for the times where we do very well, you can always just tell it's down to like individual brilliance, where the individual brilliance just shows where this is where the talent shows. So just like if you're able to actually now put the right coach with that team, where again it's a very talented team, I feel we'll just be undisputed Africa's best. And then when it comes to World Cup and all that, there would even be a little bit of a fear factor where it's just like because when you look at a lot of our players, like they're all doing very well in their individual teams. Like Osimhen is leading the line in Napoli. Lookman is balling out in Atlanta. Like you have Boniface for Leverkusen. You look at Ndidi.
You're invincible.
Do you get what I'm saying? So just like you look at the team, even for the ones that might not be the star players of their teams, they're putting in a shift. Like they're important players in their teams. So it's like if you put all those players that are coming from winning cultures in one team and you coach them properly, knowing very well that every other team doesn't have that advantage, right? You will just stand out in a sense.
See,
I feel like we can be like an Atletico, where it's just like you're going to a cup competition.
We're supposed to be like Man City in Africa, where we know that yes, there'll be tough games when you play against like the Senegals, the other big boys, but all the smaller countries are supposed to just be whooping them and sending them back home. But it doesn't happen. Man. Look at our water qualifying so far. We drew against Zimbabwe, we drew against Lesotho, where those are countries that we're supposed to be giving them 5, 6 and sending them back home. But one of the issues that we have with our coaching is that, again, it comes down to organization and the NFF. Any coach that wants to be the head coach of Nigeria now, there's certain things that you have to know are going to happen and you have to be okay with, which most of the top coaches in the world will not be okay with. First of all, you are going to get a low salary. Low, I mean, for you and I, it's probably a good salary. But for football, where they pay them millions. Our last coach, Jose Pesero, who took us to the AFCON final, they initially hired him, I think he was on like 70K a month or something like that. When they wanted to renew his contract, they asked him to take a pay cut. He accepted. The pay cut was, okay, I'll take the team to the AFCON. I'll see how we perform at the AFCON, and then we'll renegotiate after the tournament. The man said, fine, took a pay cut. Got to the AFCON final, lost the final. Okay, it's now time to renegotiate. You're now telling him to take another pay cut on top of that lower salary that he has already taken before the tournament. And the man said, no, I want 100K a month. They said, oh, sorry, we can't pay that. They had to let him go. So, whichever coach we're hiring, that has to be a coach that is on less than 100K a month. Because that's what the federation can afford. Another thing that the coach has to be ready for is that there will be times where one man will come and tell you, oh, you must call this guy up. Or you should call that guy up. Or they will tell you, don't call this guy up because he disrespected me. Or because he did something. Apparently that's the reason why Murphy wasn't called up for our last friendlies, because he disrespected somebody. So it's things like that happen. And then finally the coach also has to know that sometimes they can owe you for 7 months. You just have to be ready. You just know that, okay, they might not pay you salary for like 7, 8 months, but they'll pay you eventually. It's just like you don't know when it's going to come.
But okay, on that last point you just made, right? I think sometimes people don't realize how crazy that is, right? And for me, it's like, just put yourself in the shoes of, like, we all work, right? Imagine you're working and your company is telling you they're not paying you for 7 months. But it's just like, oh, we'll combine your paycheck, you'll collect it in October or November, but keep on working. Like, there's a meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. So,
bro.
I would actually quit from a company like that. Where it's just like, yeah, man, like, what's the point, like, of working for a company and I'm not sure when my next paycheck is coming. It's like, oh, when we have money, we'll give you. But bro, I beg for now, just just manage.
So that's the
That's
thing. You
insane.
have to understand that, like, the coaches that will be willing to accept all those kind of terms and situations are coaches that are not really in high
Yeah,
demand. They don't have people looking for them like that. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, no problem. I'll manage. Just
Wait,
let
but,
me
but,
work
but,
and
but, but what do you think about when we get it right with a manager, but like we just keep asking for more or we're asking for too much rather than just sitting back and watching consistency work and hoping that consistency can take us forward. For example, if we use like what's this man's name now? Popular Nigerian coach, Siasia. If we use Siasia and let's say we obviously we wouldn't go well immediately we use Siasia. When we start, we'll obviously mess up. But I feel like when it's a Nigerian coach that is like holding the team, when we start that we mess up, they'll just start insulting him and they make him quit and then they find a white person to replace. But if we keep to that person and we, do like a project like like the Ateta project and we fail initially and we see like, growth and everything, we get there. And to be honest, our last AFCON was given to us by who? Wasn't he Keshi? Like it
Wait,
takes time. It's
but
not by
Andrew,
money and finding the
one
best
thing,
coach.
one thing I'll say with that though, the problem with it takes time with national team is I feel like you don't have enough time
And you do.
for that process.
Every two
Like
years, bro, you have AFCON.
no, I know, but I'm saying like in terms of like for instance, using Ateta's reference, right? It's like when you're going through a season of club football, you're playing probably over 50 games, right? In a season where you go far. But it's like when you're talking national team, like before you even play 50 games, it's definitely going to be probably a good 2 years at least, right? And you don't have as much time with the players like for training, for all those things. It's just okay, we have a friendly international break is coming. The players arrive 2-3 days before international break. You're with the players for maybe 1 week, 10 days at most. They're back to their clubs. If a major tournament is coming, same thing. They join the team 1-2 weeks before. So
So that means he needs more time. You need like
yes,
3 years.
but the
Yeah,
thing
that's
is,
what I'm
like I
more
is
saying.
than
saying, if when you're coaching the national team, unfortunately, you just don't have the time that you
yeah.
need. So you have to be somebody that already has the tools in his head that you can prepare during the club season, and then you can come in and within a week you can get the players to understand
Yeah,
what you want
man.
them to do and get it right. And another thing
Okay.
is like, but see, Andrew, you're also not wrong in the sense that see, Nigerians in general, we have this win now mentality. You look at it, even at under 17 level, that is clearly not professional, it's developmental. If under 17, if we don't win under 17 World Cup now, Nigerians will start shouting, insulting the players, insulting the coach. If we don't win under 20, people will start vexing. When at that level, yeah, winning is nice, but it's more important that you develop these young boys, these young girls to be able to become good pros in the future. Nigeria, we just don't have that kind of patience. Look at this current coach or the last coach that we just had, Jose Pesero. He took us to our first AFCON final since 2013. Okay, he lost the final against Ivory Coast. His tactics were wrong. We can all admit that. Next thing, people are calling for his head. Oh, he's useless. Why is he playing like that? Why would Nigeria be defending? This one, that one. And it's like people don't have that patience. And unfortunately for us as well, the NFF, they listen too much to what the media and the fans have to say. It's
Yeah.
nice to listen to your country and listen to the people, but they listen too much. Like, if the media and the fans turn against a coach, there's a 90% chance that the NFF will also turn against that coach because people are complaining. There was even a time they didn't eventually do it, but there were people on the inside kind of knew about it, where they wanted to put a poll out or whether or not they should sack the coach. Like, literally, they wanted to put a poll on social media, like, oh, should we sack the coach? Just because we're complaining. So they just don't know how to make their own decisions and stick by it. And that's the reason why we always chop and change. 1-2 years, somebody, no matter the kind of job they do, if they don't win a trophy, they are most likely going to get sacked. And then somebody comes and then has to start all over again. And it's just difficult. What I
Yeah.
will say though, the name you use for your example, Sia, is not near the national team. A lot of a lot of our Nigerian coaches, my issue with them, I've said this multiple times. My issue with them is They don't work to improve themselves. They stay at home. They just wait for when they sack the Super Eagles coach. Then they will go on TV and talk about they want to be the next Super Eagles coach. First, Sias is even on a current FIFA ban, so he can't even be the coach. But people like Amunike, for example, Amunike last coached Tanzania. Since he coached Tanzania, I don't know what he's been doing. He hasn't been coaching any other team. People like Sunday Olise, he got hired by a fourth division club in Germany a few years ago. Went there, 5 games, 5 L's. They sacked him or he quits. Mutual termination, whatever. Since then, he just went back home and he went to go and chill and he's like, oh, I'm not doing anything again. Once this coach not renew now, he's saying, oh, I wouldn't mind being the coach again. And that's what I don't really like. Finidi George, who took charge of our last 2 friendlies,
I think he won the MPFL with Imba.
And that's the only reason why I somewhat liked him, because he's not a top coach by any standard, but he's coaching in Nigeria. He's coach of the defending champions in the Nigerian Professional League. And for me, that just gives a little bit of credence to your ability and wanting to be a good coach than somebody that's, oh, I won on that 17 World Cup in 2015. So I must still be a top coach in 2024. And it's like, bro, that's not how it works. Look at even coaches like Mourinho that we know are top coaches. Because maybe he has not coached a top team in a few years. There are people that are already trying to spoil his name. Now imagine somebody that, oh, the only thing you have is, oh, I won on that 17 in 2013, 2015. So somehow now in 2024, we should trust that you are the right man for the job. And that's just my issue with Nigerian coaches. A lot of them don't stay active in the game and keep improving.
Yeah, and to that point of like we can even still relate that to working, because at the end of the day, those guys are working. It's not charity, right? And in our professional career, it's like I stopped working today, and I'll take a 6-year break, and then I now want to apply to my position in a different company. And it's like, bro, you've not been working for 6 years. Like no improvements. The industry has moved forward. Technology has moved forward. You get what I'm saying? And you want to just add that 6 years as if you've been working with. It's like, oh yeah, I've been a professional for the last 15 years. But Baba, you've not worked for the last 6. Like you can't just come.
True.
It doesn't make any sense. You have to stay in the game one way or the other. Even if it's going to be assistant coach somewhere and you're doing something, you have to, because again, tactics are improving. Like
the game is evolving, and the game is going very fast.
Exactly. So it's like you can't be out of the game for that long and then just want to come back into it.
At the highest level.
Yeah, man, it makes no sense. But Andrew, to the point you made, Shah, I think one particular case I would 100% agree with it is in a case where we have like a young core, where it's like, okay, you have, which I feel to a certain extent with our team, you can argue that, but a young core being like most of your players being in their 20s, so 20s and I'll say like early 20s, right? If you have the same coach where it's like, okay, for the next, say, 2 competitions, this would be a proper learning curve, improving the team, improving the players individually and all that. And these guys are going to peak, say, 5 years from now. And, by that time, you guys have been with the same, same group, same coach and everything. When that time comes, I feel like that's prime position for that, right? But, if it's a case where maybe half of the squad or quarter of the squad, will phase out at some point because of age and things like that, obviously it becomes harder. But with a young core, I feel like that makes so much sense, where it's like, okay, you've been with these guys since their first call-ups to the team. They've only known how to play football your style, and then they've improved with their clubs, coming back here, like, knowing exactly how to play for you and things like that. In that kind of setting, with the right manager, right tactics and everything, like, you would actually only get better. So, yeah.
I see, just to touch on that very quickly, another thing that we don't have that other national teams have is just that planning. We don't have a plan, unfortunately. A team like Senegal, they knew what they've been doing for the past 6-8 years for them to get to the success that they've got. They won the previous AFCON before this one. A team like Morocco, they've not won anything yet, but they've had a plan. The king and the federation created a plan for how they're going to develop football in their country. and they followed that plan, and we've seen the success of them getting to the semis of the World Cup, being more competitive at the AFCON. Unfortunately for us, we don't have it. If you look at like an England, for example, one of the things that helps national teams like that, whereby, like we said, you have little to no time to train the players, is because all the players, even the ones that are on the outside looking in, they know how the team plays. They know the philosophy. They know the things that they need to be ready, so that if you do get your call up, it's not now the coach is trying to explain, oh, this is how we play, this is how we do things. Even we that are fans, we can go on the English FA website and read the English philosophy. And they use that philosophy for all the levels of the national team, from the Three Lions all the way down to under 13s.
Yeah.
We don't have stuff like that in Nigeria. So imagine maybe you play under 17, you play a certain style, you get under 20, a different coach, a completely different style.
Yeah.
You now do well at your club. They call you up for Super Eagles. Now it's a completely different style from everything that you've ever known. It's like, bro, that's why a lot of the time you watch our national team play and they look like boys that just came to play pickup and just chose each other and just say, yeah, go and play. Now people are good. You don't see any chemistry between them. And we don't just have that plan.
I'm like, that's such a good point, and I've never actually looked at it that way, because if you're playing a certain way, from start to finish, it makes it easier for your players to be able to maintain their levels as well. Like, it makes it easier for someone that was a star, under 17, under 21 to then come into the senior team and be able to like maintain that. Because if you're going from free flowing attacking football in under 17, under 21 to a pack the bus team that only plays on the counter and all that, like, that drastically affects your game because you're not used to that. That's when they start asking players to do things they can't do. You just look ineffective. You start hearing comments like, oh, when it comes to playing for Nigeria, this guy all of a sudden, he wants to play rubbish. And it's just like, bro, you're looking at a player that plays a certain way and does not even have the opportunity to play that way with the team. It's just hard. And I feel like to a certain extent, like, African football has that identity to it to an extent. Even similar to, I feel similar to this guy, South American guys as well, where it's like, sometimes our ball can be very aggressive that it doesn't even give you the chance to be playing flair football, right? That's kind of the nature of it. But you see certain teams that allow for that within their team, but your team has to be on the same page for that to happen, right? But yeah, I think ultimately, like, that's a good point. I've never thought of it that way, but it does make sense. And I feel like that's why a lot of times you see a huge disparity between how players are playing for their teams in Europe versus when they come to their national teams, like, two completely different styles of football. Like, it's hard for you to produce in an environment where you're kicking the ball to your up top, only you is there. It's taking 30 seconds for your players to join you in attack.
kind of points to like 2008 to 2012 Spain and Barcelona, combination. Like, they were just, it's the same vibe. You know what you're doing at home and you know what you're doing in your club. It was working, it was telepathic football.
Yeah,
so
as you just mentioned that.
All the guys that came from like Premier League and stuff, they were few and far between. So they were not really going to affect the formula that they had going on already. So I think that makes sense.
To put that in an African context, that's the reason why South Africa were as successful as they were this last AFCON.
That's true.
That's true. Because 9 out of their starting 11 play for Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
So even though they don't play in Europe, they play for the same club. So these guys know each other so well. And their coach knows that. So it's going to stay and say, come and do the same thing that you guys do at club level. They'll bring Pesitao, who's one of the other stars that plays in Al-Ali. They'll bring some other person. And they just add those pieces to the team. And it gels. It makes sense. But for us that we have Osimhen in Napoli, this guy in Premier League, this one, and come 1 week, all of a sudden they have to learn each other, and even the coach doesn't know what he wants to do until the second game of the tournament. It's just.
So, what do you think is the best way, forward for us, based on this perspective?
I mean, the technical team has to create a plan. Like, there has to be a 5-10 year plan of how the national teams, not just the Super Eagles, how they want to, improve the national teams and how they want to create a progression. See, if we keep talking the national team, we can talk this thing for so long, because even if you look at the current Super Eagles, it's not like there was a clear progression of players from youth level to first team level. Many of them played youth, the Air Naturals, Awoni, Osime, Chukwueze, they all played youth football, but then they now went into Europe and then they had to go and hone their talents better before they could eventually transition into the national team. Now, the players that we have that play our youth football these days now, we don't even hear of them again for like another 10 years. Then all of a sudden, one guy will spring up. Boniface, for example, did anybody know Boniface when he played for Nigeria's youth team?
No. I heard it was in under 17.
Yeah, he played on that. Even played on a 20 World Cup. Did anybody really know him? So
did he perform? Did they perform?
They didn't really.
That's the question. And that's why we don't know them. Because when Osimhen was touching that under 17, there was no way you wouldn't know him. This guy was scored. He scored. I think he scored 5 or 7 goals.
Is the goat of under 17 football.
Exactly. So there was another player under 20. Is it Chris Santos or so? But that guy was good too. But I don't know where he is now. But like if you do well, we'll remember you from that tournament.
Okay, to your point here, look at the recent under 20 World Cup. They got to, I think, the quarterfinal or so. They knocked out Argentina, the host country. Where are all those guys from the team?
True.
See, some of them are like, one of them plays for Inter Milan. One of them plays for AC Milan. Under 19 teams and things like that. But the one that plays for Inter, he played a few games for them in their league last season, played in the cup, lifted the trophy with them. But the progression is just not quite there. And unfortunately, again, we don't have another 23 team, which is one of the things that is so weird. Because that's why when I say we
do we feud for Olympics?
We do have, but they only come together when it's time for Olympic qualification. When it's time for under 23 AFCON, they will now start calling people here and there, but they are not an active team. Yeah. So that's why once any young boy starts doing slightly well in Europe, people start saying, call him up to Super Eagles. Whereas the reality of it is that, this guy's supposed to be playing under 23 football. Like if Amadueke now was Nigerian, people will be shouting that they should call him to Super Eagles. He plays for Chelsea. But for England, he knows that, okay, guys, you still go and play your youth football, keep on doing your thing there, and when it's time, they will call you up to the senior national team. So that's the progression that we don't quite have in Nigeria.
God help us. Because I think our problem is actually deep. Like, I feel like it's the structure and everything. And for structure to change, for leadership to be in the right direction, I guess all of us knowing how politics in general is in Nigeria, it is going to be very, very hard for that to change. But we can only hope at this point.
That's it.
So anyways, moving on. So I think one thing we should actually speak about is, and thankfully we have a Nigerian player on the team, is Leverkusen, right? Like, obviously you guys have been seeing what Leverkusen have been doing this season. It's unbelievable. I know Andrew's probably not going to be happy when they go unbeaten. Arsenal can't brag as much for their invisibles.
Wait, do you think Leverkusen will be the first team after Arsenal?
Probably not, actually. Like, I know
exactly,
but I think theirs is just more impressive considering that it's in all competitions. And like as it is, they have a potential there's potential to win a treble.
Like, what I'm saying is, like, that's fine, but what I'm saying, like, it doesn't affect our Arsenal's bragging right. Our bragging right has been about Prem. We're not the only team to win the league.
To go unbeaten,
Also, I think Celtic did like the real treble unbeaten.
Yeah. I know you're not the only
teams have done it.
I know you're not the I know you're not the only team, but I'm just saying, like,
chill.
If Leverkusen
it doesn't affect my ego in any way. I'm still going to boast about my golden trophy.
We'll see. You know what? That's actually an argument for another day. This Arsenal's golden trophy that makes them think they're untouchable. Because you know what? Let's just save that for another day, man. Because that team,
Chelsea fans, man. They hate Arsenal, man. That's the only thing we have left. You people have wait, hold on. Sometimes I just wonder, why do people hate Arsenal so much? What did they really do? Arsenal literally has nothing to brag about. Only one thing. And that one thing,
I think that's
don't like it again.
You have nothing to brag about, but you guys still brag so much.
Because we have to brag. Everybody's bragging. We have to talk, and that's the only thing we have. So we have to
So,
talk about it.
so
And
now you,
you want to take that one away from us? How now?
so guy, you asked the question and you answered it yourself. So that's even perfect. You're the representation of the ideal Arsenal fan. You're like, what's there to brag about? But then you're now explaining to us how you still have to brag because everybody's talking, so you got stuck.
Bro, people are talking about your achievements. We talk about our achievements too now.
From
That's how it
2004,
works now.
2005.
But achievement is achievement. It doesn't matter when you did it.
When they say success is relative. It's not how far you
It
came, it's
doesn't
where you
matter,
started
man.
from to where you got to. So,
Exactly.
Um,
yeah.
anyways, fair enough. So, anyways, going to Leverkusen, like I think they've been amazing. Honestly, like Alonso has done an amazing job. They lost Boniface January, which arguably up until that point, like a lot of people can argue he was the best player or what. So, like between both of them, and then the fact they've been able to maintain everything up like since then up until now, and now he's back on the score sheet again. I just want to get you guys thoughts on that. Like, Ayo T, you can go first and
See, Bayer Leverkusen this season, bro, unbelievable team. When they started the season, they started hot. I was happy for Boniface because it's my guy. I was scoring goals. I was sending message. Guy, you're on fire. This one's on now. But I think for me, the first time that I really said, okay, these guys are serious is when they played against Bayern. I think they won that game 3-2 or something. And was it 3-2? I remember I watched that game and you could just see how like there was no fear. Normally when teams play Bayern, it's Bayern now, it's Bundesliga. That Bayern are supposed to win. But there was no fear. They went and they played Bayern and they outplayed them and beat them. I was like, you know what? These guys are serious. And then I think the job that Alonso has done, getting everybody to know their roles and to play their roles so well, that one person gets injured, Boniface gets injured, they plug in another player, he does the job. Frimpong from that wing back has been amazing.
Yeah.
When Frimpong wants to rest, they bring in Nathan Taylor, who's this another Nigerian that is in their team. Taylor comes in, does amazing. The guy has started only 5 games this season. He has 5 goals, 2 assists in those 5 starts. And it's like everybody just knows that when it's your turn, you know exactly what to do. Even in games that they rest players, and I'm like, okay, they've rested like 5 of their starting 11, or they'll probably lose or drop points today. All of a sudden, they are winning the game. And then you have players like Florian Wirtz that you know that, okay, if things are not working too well and he's on the bench, you can just say, guy, come on for the last 20 minutes and you bag 2 goals.
Something happened.
It's like, bro, they're just incredible. And I think the whole world can be delighted that Bayern is not winning the league this year because, bro, it's like, it's annoying.
But guy, on that note too, like that, I feel like that in itself is like a mental task where like you're going up against Bayern, right? Knowing that, okay, we're trying to win this league and we want to win it over a team that has won in the last, I think, 11 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that in itself takes like next level type of courage where it's like, we're going for this title. And, that's why I give so much credit to Xabi Alonso, man, because for me, it starts from like the culture within the team. Like start of the season, like what's our goal? Do you get? And sometimes, not to, digress, but like someone like Poch, for instance, that's my problem with someone like Poch sometimes where, again, like once you see a team on the field, sometimes you can tell what the manager is feeding them. All these years of time. Sometimes I feel like overestimated. You don't need time to see certain things. No one is asking you to win the league. In Poch's case, no one's asking you to win the league or do anything. But there are just certain things you can see coming from the players that okay, this coach is going in the right direction. And I feel like Xabi Alonso has shown that, but he has just shown that in an extreme way where no one would have expected this level of success from them like so quickly.
No, it's really incredible, honestly.
Andrew, no.
Yeah, nothing. I just feel like it's like, when the underdog is fighting, they don't really they have nothing to lose. Like, I was expected to lose anyways. So I feel like that mentality is how they like kickstarted the season. Like, well, we'll just like Leicester that in 2015. Like, we'll just win, like win any game we can win. I'll take it each game at a time. We're not thinking about the league, but we're just thinking about the next game. Thinking about how to improve ourselves from fighting relegation last season to, to just be the best versions of ourselves. And I feel like at some point it just became, well, we can actually win the league like this. So let's just keep pushing this thing to the end and see how far we can take this thing to. If they lose a game before the season ends, it doesn't change anything, doesn't stain them, because that was never even their goal in the first place, to go unbeaten. Their goal was just win every game, one at a time, be better than last season. And then we're here winning the league. And now we're about to win the German Cup, and also potentially, we'll see what they do to Liverpool. Potentially, win the Europa League. Like,
Which
it just
Liverpool that are going out
sorry,
already.
not Liverpool, West Ham. West Ham. No, but Liverpool, I said Liverpool based on the fact that Liverpool is still there. They are going to still, it affects.
No, but
It affects the Europa
But Andrew,
competition.
they were not planning to win the league at the start, but they've won it. They were not planning to go on. They were not planning to go unbeaten. But now that they are so close to doing it, I feel like it will pain them if they lose a game.
Sure. But it will pain them, but you can't really still shame them on it.
No, you can't shame them.
But if they were Bayern and they were gunning for like unbeaten and everything, and then maybe they lose one game, people will be like, well, you won the league 11 times already, so it would have been nice if you did it this year unbeaten. So they have something to lose. But Leverkusen doesn't really have, at this point, they have nothing to lose. Anywhere they stop at now, they've done it already. They've surpassed the.
One more thing to add there to just give them props for is, they were also fighting the cause of Leverkusen.
Which second place cause.
Yeah, bro. Which I'm sure, like, again, there's a mental thing there, and I know sometimes people say stuff like, "Oh, it's not the same players and all that," but like, come on, the culture or what you're known for. Especially when the players are aware of it, it affects you, right? Like, it's similar to how like Chelsea have been bad at Wembley, and it's like the last 1 or 2 times we played, a lot of those players were not there for the previous ones, but you can just feel that pressure on you of like, Chelsea doesn't win at Wembley.
A better example is similar to how Arsenal know that they will always bottle the league.
Wow. It's a good example though, but that's crazy.
You know what? It's actually a great example because chill. Like, okay, jokes aside. Like, it's a good example as well, because there are times where even I believe Arsenal are in a great position to do something, and I believe they will actually. And like, I get into arguments with people and they're just like, it's not going to happen, it's Arsenal, right? And I feel like with the players, comparing what we're speaking about here, it's a mental thing for them too. It's like, okay, they just look back at the club's history, just like, some of our legends have been in this position and they've not been able to go over that hump. So they just feel like they feel the pressure, and so it's just honestly just giving them props for also being able to do that, because I think I saw a recent video of how they were close to a treble. I think Balak was part of that team. Was part of that team.
That's the O2 team now.
Bro, do you know how insane it is for you to be up, I think 4 points, 2 games to go into other finals?
It's 5 points and you drew 3 in a row, and
you lose every single thing.
Bro. They happen now. Bro, they actually happen.
I feel like as a player part of that kind of team, it can be hard for you to, even after leaving that team, it can be hard for you to get over that. Where it's just like, bro, like, we're this close to winning.
In your next club, when you are about to win, you just be having PTSD. You feel like, no, it's crazy.
We're laughing, but that's someone's life. That's Hurricane's life. We're laughing. It's not funny. That's someone's actual career right now.
Yo, Hurricane. I feel bad for Hurricane, man, because the thing is, Hurricane is one of the best strikers, at least that we've watched. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think of, in our generation, it's probably like easily a top 5 striker. Like, the only
top
guys
3,
like
top
maybe
3.
like,
let's be honest, top 3. Let's be honest.
Top 5 because when
of no trophy.
guys like Suarez, like Thierry Henry, like those are guys you'd still put up.
Would I really put Hurricane in their generation? Like,
not
I'm saying that we've watched
generation.
Yeah, not in generation, but just
Suarez. You can put him and Suarez together.
But I'll say top 5. So let's just say top 5, right? And or if you want to see his generation, his guys like Suarez, maybe Lewa. I guess you won't consider Ibra part of his generation, but the point I'm trying to make is
Yeah,
that
we're playing in the
he's
90s
an
though.
he's, a, he's an elite striker that does his job. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's just unfortunate for him that no trophy is crazy though.
Bro.
Yeah.
That
I
like that's
think he
Is
has
this
is it Audi Abi?
this
Audi
guy,
Cup
please,
now.
man. Yeah, please, free guy,
is
free
this
out.
Bayern one that just confirmed this and nah, this guy is cursed?
It's cursed.
Because
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
cursed.
a
It's
curse.
cursed.
from that his debut for Bayern when they played in the Super Cup and they lost against
Mhm.
RB Leipzig, I was like,
Yeah,
nah,
it's cursed,
Harry
man.
Yeah,
Kane.
because as you said about see, if a club is cursed, we can understand, you can come in and change the mentality. But if it's only you that is cursed, like what are you going to do? Yeah, the one he's the only one thinking about this. Other players in Bayern are not thinking, well, it's my
Like
fault.
Muller
He's the
has
only
won
one
how
thinking
many
it's his fault.
Bundesliga?
Yeah. Everybody there,
Bro,
they have eaten, they are enjoying. He's
yeah,
the only
and
one that has not eaten.
I'm sure at the end of this season, when they look back at it, when that stat comes out, like when last Bayern went a season without a trophy. Like, so that's why they didn't even win the league, but they didn't win any cup. They didn't win nothing.
It's gonna be a long
Guy,
time ago.
I'm sure it's been a long time. So, guy, man, they have to connect it to Hurricane. Like, bro. But yeah, man. But I think Leverkusen, all in all, like they've done an amazing job. Like, to your point, Andrew, even if this is it for them, where they just win the league and nothing else, as much as that would be disappointing considering the position they're in. If they're looking at their season targets from the from the beginning of the season, they've definitely overachieved, right? Like, two, I guess one final and at this point, like one Bundesliga, you got that far in Europa League, and they're probably going to semis at this point. Like that's a successful season, but obviously you'll still be disappointed because you could see the remaining, the other two trophies, right in front of you, but for some reason they don't get over that hump. But I would love to see them win the other two trophies because I just think, like, for the love of the game, man, like that's an incredible feat. Like going,
No, they are winning the German Cup.
German Cup, yeah,
That's
that one
yeah,
I
almost
think.
almost
I think you'll win.
automatic.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they'll win that one for sure.
It's the Europa League that
It's just
can give
Europa
them
League
a
that'll be
bit of a tough time. But see,
more
Kylie,
challenging.
I want to just use that Leverkusen point to talk about something that Andrew said earlier about the Nigerian players. Even in terms of just Nigerian players' achievement, see now we had Osimhen winning the Italian Serie A with Napoli last season. This year we had Boniface and Teller winning the Bundesliga with Leverkusen. Whereas in the past, Nigerian players were more so playing for struggling teams, things like that. And now to be fair, we've had players like Kanu winning trophies in Ajax and Arsenal. But, to have Nigerians winning league titles in Europe
And
top five
spearheading the win.
back to
Like not
back
just
and being
winning
star
as
players,
a yeah.
is huge, man. It's huge.
Yeah, I won't like that's a good point too because when you associate that with the Nigerian brand, it does help us as well, right? Like I feel like looking back at it, like someone like Mikel Obi helped the Nigerian brand of players to where he was important to Mourinho, and even like Chelsea in general, even after Mourinho was just like, once you put Mikel there, his lock up, like he was an important piece of everything that was going on there. You're not looking at Mikel and it's like, oh, Mikel has Prem champs and it's like, oh, it was given to him. It's one of those things where like, oh, this guy earned it. Like if he wasn't there, some people can even argue with you that, I'm not so sure that
A
Chelsea would
few
have
of those
gotten over the
1-0
hump.
wins might not have been 1-0.
Exactly. You
Yes,
get what I'm
now
saying?
those one
So,
knew that he came in to end the game. Come on, lock
bro,
up.
guy, one of the funniest things is how like once you see
On the
Mourinho bringing
touchline,
up Mikel,
yeah,
like you say,
It's over,
I say,
man.
goddamn, man.
It's over.
Bro, okay, do you know how crazy Mourinho is? Because I still don't understand how a coach derives so much joy from 1-0. Like Mourinho preferred 1-0 to 2-0. Like, like
Why
was just
not?
like was just like, bro, like we scored and you did everything possible, but I locked up this shop so much that you could not even get in that second goal. And I feel like that's how they did things too. That's how we did things too with Inter. But ball has just progressed so much more than that now. And I think it's harder now for that style of play because players don't want to commit to that style of play.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Like if Mourinho still had those kind of players that were willing to play that way, like if Mourinho had his OG Chelsea team or his OG Inter team, they would still do a madness in today's football. But now when you're dealing with guys that again they're more focused on other things than football, you're just like, bro, man, like some guys are looking at me like, bro, I'm too talented to be doing
To be
this
fucking boss.
to
Yeah.
be fucking boss, man. Like
No, see,
so
even
I think
on Mikel's podcast, Mourinho said it that see the things that he used to say and how he used to treat the Chelsea players back then. It's like if he does it today, that they will arrest him
yup.
because Mourinho's style then was
Yeah,
it
man.
was no
Extreme,
nonsense.
man. It
Guys,
was extreme, man.
if you are playing for Mourinho, Madueke and Jackson are fighting for penalties,
Guy.
can they do
They are
that kind
done
of
for the season.
Yeah, that's the end of
They're
their.
done, bro, they're
like
done
you're
for they're
literally
done for
not
the
playing
season.
at all?
They're not playing any penalty again until he leaves the
He
club.
said if you
Nobody,
don't
none of
play
them is
match,
playing
you
pen.
thank God. You're not stuck on playing
True.
They are done
penalty.
for the season, bro.
True.
Like, bro, like that guy made Salah cry, bro. Like, do you get what I'm saying? He made like he scolded Salah, a grown man. He scolded him in the dressing room, then subbed him out at halftime. Like, players were even there, like, bro, man, like,
Like
damn, like,
it's a
you get
bit
what I'm
much.
saying?
They're like
You can't, to your point, you can't do that now. And I feel like Mourinho is an extreme coach in that sense. So it's like it's just hard for him to like switch up completely and want to,
yeah.
approach managing a different style. So yeah. But anyways, I think last thing I wanted us to touch on is kind of, let's call it the title race right now. I feel like the title race took a huge turn. So title race being EPL title race. Liverpool unexpectedly lost to Crystal Palace at Anfield. Arsenal also lost to Aston Villa, and City once again are top. And we've seen this over and over again. When City go top at this time of the season, they typically just go on to win every game left, man. Like at this point, I'm even tired, but but I don't think I was expecting
See,
Liverpool
that's why I
or
wore.
Arsenal.
That's why I wore this jersey for this episode because I want to say something that is going to happen. It's like I'm speaking into the future. This season is going to end with all three of them having equal points.
Mhm.
So it's just City's going to draw one game, and they all have equal points. And now we're going to look at our goal difference. That's obviously Arsenal might not, because I know City is balling out now. I think they scored like 5-1 in the last game, and Arsenal lost, so that's -2 + 5. So that's maybe goal difference. Now we're looking at maybe 3 between Arsenal and City.
No, you guys
If
are up
they
by
end
5 goal difference.
5, okay, let's say 5. If City wins, or sorry, if City drops points and Arsenal, I feel like all three of them will end same points and it will be goal difference that will decide it. I feel like this would be the most entertaining final day football since the Man City Man U match that Aguero scored and all that. I feel like this one will be so entertaining that every goal will matter. Like it won't be about you're winning your match or not. It's like how many goals can you score? How many goals is Man City scoring now? How many goals Arsenal scoring now? How many goals Liverpool scoring now? Like who is scoring who? Like at that, like we're watching 3 screens that final day, looking at who can pop the most goals to win the title. That's why I believe will happen. City can win, and it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it will be a very entertaining final day. I just want them to drop that point.
But you know
I can't
that
wait for them to drop it.
the unfortunate part
It will
is
not happen.
if you get into a goal scoring contest with City, you know that more often than not, they are the
True.
ones that
You
are
lose.
always that contest.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I just want that entertainment. I've never seen that
Yeah.
before.
I mean, I
I
think
think
I would love for that to happen as well. But I personally don't think the reason I don't think it will is I feel like Arsenal would still drop points. I feel like Liverpool will still drop points. And City, a part of me wants to say City will drop points, but like again,
not as
with
much as the
City-
other guys.
Yeah, and with City, unfortunately, we can't help but just look at their history. Like they've won 6 of the last 7 or 5 of the last 6 or something like that, right? And they just get into this mode where everyone can tell when they're in that mode, and once they're there, they just like it's
Auto
like
drive.
yeah, bro. It doesn't make sense, right? And I feel like with Arsenal, you guys still have United away, Spurs away,
Yeah,
Chelsea
but
at home.
Chelsea,
Even though
yeah.
those teams are not up to your level, your standard right now, those are just the kind of teams that would want to just cause you trouble, right? And
I can do it.
exactly. And depending on how the game goes, we can take 2 points from you, whatnot. So is, and you look at City on the other hand, like the only challenging fixture they have is Spurs. Every other thing is just random teams in the league that come on, like they would,
And I
they
think
would,
I think
they would
that
pipe
goal
those guys.
difference, they can easily cover it in the next 3 matches.
Exactly.
Brighton,
Yeah,
Forest, and Wolves. They beat Brighton like 4, beat Forest like 5, beat Wolves like another 4 or 5.
it's
And
true.
they've
You're right, though.
covered it. You know, I know what
You're
guys
actually
say
right.
is City have that pedigree. You know that they do this, they've done it. You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
for them, this is not really a challenge. It's like, just
Yeah.
go and do what we've already been doing. Whereas for us now,
Exactly.
it's you guys that haven't done this before, and it's now the challenge of, okay, can we overcome? Okay, we've slipped up. We're now second on the table. Can we overcome that and win all our games? Because I honestly believe that City will still drop points.
Yeah.
But when City drop points, can Arsenal actually win all their games to take advantage
Take
of when City
advantage.
eventually win? When City eventually drop their own points, which is what I'm not sure of. And honestly, I'm not too happy that City will win this league. Winning
Me-
4 Premier League
true.
titles in a row is annoying. It's almost making the league look like the
Look like
Bundesliga or
exactly.
or Ligue 1.
But
But
the real
Exactly.
Farmers League,
but
man.
I would rather City win 10 in a row than Arsenal win 1.
Wait, hold on. 1 sec. Wait, what team do you support?
I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh, no wonder.
I don't mind if City win 10 in a row. If Arsenal cannot win 1, I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
If
That's
Man
fine.
U was competing, I would say let Man U win.
Yeah,
If
man. Arsenal
Spurs
is
were
the
competing,
last team. Arsenal is actually the last team on my list. If anybody can win Prem, but if they say my list, the
I'm
team I
actually
want
okay
to
with
win,
Chelsea winning, but just not Man U. Like,
well,
I don't. Chelsea fans hate Arsenal, but I don't think Arsenal fans really care for Chelsea as the way we care about like Man U. But it's fine.
I feel like it's just
It's fine.
experience, right? Like the Arsenal fans in my life, you know, you're not included, Andrew, but I know some annoying as Arsenal fans with that.
very
I know
annoying Arsenal fans.
I know I would not be able to stand. I would not be able to stand Arsenal winning winning Prem.
No, bro.
So just like anybody, man, like anybody
But
else but Arsenal.
before we close this episode, let me just my final thing. Every time I buy an Arsenal jersey that season, they win something. So I bought this jersey and I know that we're going to win something. So
So
it's
chance
just
of
like
error.
it's left to you guys to decide which one will win. But they'll win something.
If I
We
had to
can't
pick
just go on. We can't go without
if I
anything.
had to pick one for sure to be Prem, like you know, I'd like for you guys to stay barren
In Champions
this year.
League.
Personally, honestly, I would like if we had the opportunity to pick one or the other, I'll pick Prem too. Like,
For
You'll
real.
pick from over Champions League?
yeah, personally, like I don't really.
That's interesting.
As an Arsenal fan, I'll pick Prem over Champions League. Why would I pick Champions League?
Because
Not
it's
even
the
one.
Champions League
Like,
and you've
because
never
I-
won the
no,
why
Champions
would you
League.
pick?
Man, I don't know.
You realize that?
I think if you speak to any Arsenal fan, they will tell you the same thing. It just means more to us now because we're climbing up the ladder. We're not trying to just rush it.
No, but
If we
Andrew,
get the Prem,
I
good,
understand
then
what
we can now move our thoughts to
saying.
champs.
It's better for your process in a sense. Like I feel like there's more of a hump there, like and all that. I understand, but it's still tough for me to like if I was in that situation. I don't think
You're
I would.
looking at it from your own eyes. You've won both recently, right? You've won Premier League.
We've not won
more
Prem
recent than
recently, it's
more
been a
recent
long
than we have. More recent than we have, and you've won Champions League recently. That's why you can talk like this. But I'm saying, as an Arsenal fan, no, we won the league. That's what we want. We don't want because
No, but
Champions League. We can brag about Champions League, but we can't brag about Champions League to Premier League people. So people that even compete in the Champions League that season. Like Chelsea fans will be like, we're not there. Man U fans will be like, well, we eliminated.
I guess your
But
point
it's
is
the league, we're like, bro, we beat everybody here. Do you get?
I think
It's about who we're
Champions
bragging
League is
against.
about to become more difficult to win with the new system that is coming in place
man.
and everything. So that's why I'm like, this is probably your best chance of winning the Champions
just carry
League.
it, man.
You have a weak Bayern Munich that you are playing now. You have a PSG side that they also don't have. They don't have winning pedigree.
No, sorry,
You know,
sorry, Ayo T.
Yeah?
Sorry. If Arsenal beats Bayern, who's Arsenal playing next?
Real Madrid or City.
I think Madrid or City.
Yeah.
There's no way we're not winning Champions League. There's no point. There's no point.
Yeah, you have to believe.
Madrid or City.
You have to believe, man.
Why can't you beat City?
Yeah.
It's not about beating City. How about Madrid?
Yeah, Madrid
we
maybe
can
will be
beat them,
difficult
though.
because Madrid have Champions League pedigree and Arsenal don't.
No,
But
But
City,
City is the defending champion of
yes,
Champions
but
League.
no,
forget
but
defending champions. You know them. You play them in the league. They are your
yeah,
brothers, so you
man.
can.
Okay, oh.
But also, Andrew, one way you're looking at this that I don't even like at all is like when you're looking at Champions League in the past, right? Like, especially when it's not in Madrid winning it, when another team wins it, like the profiles are not always far from Arsenal. Like, it's always a very good team that is in a good season and they just get their tactics right. Like, the times Chelsea have won it,
We're not the
like
best. We're
at
not
no
like
point
the best.
we're not the best. You get what I'm saying? We're never the best. Even in finals, we're not favorites for any of the finals, but we won. Do you get what I'm
I
saying?
see. I absolutely get what you're saying. I'm just saying, from an Arsenal standpoint, the stomach of Arsenal fans is craving for Premier League more than Champions League. We don't look at Champions League as we just look at it as we want to qualify for it. Fine. That was our goal. We're not looking at it to win
Fair
it.
enough,
Our
Sha.
goal this season was to win the league.
Fair,
Champions
yeah,
League,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that one comes
I
up as
get
an
that.
add-on.
I
Yeah,
get
fair
that.
enough, fair
But
enough.
by the grace of God,
Yeah.
you will not win that league. So
Yeah. All champs. By the grace of God, we'll both end up trophyless this season.
One must
Actually, no,
come.
sorry, self. What am I
Who
saying?
is both?
By the
We have
grace of
trophy
God,
we have
already.
FA Cup
we
now.
won FA Cup ahead. By the grace of win FA Cup, you guys would community shield. Have some
What's
shame.
that?
You guys have some shame now.
It's
Community
not a
shield.
trophy. It doesn't. What is
Community
it?
shield. Okay, if that's it,
Community is
yeah,
community.
we won Summer Series PL now.
Because if Kane won competition, Kane will be so happy. Yeah, you're looking at it like it's nothing.
Okay, guy, we won Summer Series. Where do we even play
Fine.
that Summer Series?
The
Somewhere in the
US.
US. So yeah, I guess
Fine.
we're not trophyless.
Cool.
Anyways, moving on for
Yeah.
the final time. So to close this episode, so we recently opened up like kind of like a fan platform where our listeners are able to ask us questions and whatnot. So I think the question we picked up for today, and I will start with you, Ayo T, to I guess kind of give us being the guest, give us your answer. So someone asked, who are our top 3 signings in the EPL this season?
Top 3 signings.
Yeah.
I think yes, I have a bias, but regardless of my bias, I think Cole Palmer is my number one. Because for you to leave Man City, where you were playing with good players, but not really getting the game time, come into a struggling Chelsea team and carry the team like the way he's carrying it. I mean, we all Chelsea fans all love Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard's best season, he did not score as many goals as Palmer has scored. It's like he's doing unprecedented things in his first season. His first season at Chelsea, his first season as a starter in any club.
Yeah.
I think it's just incredible, and I have to give him, credit for that. My second signing, this is where it's going to be a bit tougher because I have to think of different players that have performed well.
Yeah, to give you some names, like Madison, I mean, he started off hot, maybe not so much. Like there's Rice, there's Kudus, there's McAllister for Liverpool. I think honestly those are the like noticeable guys.
I think I'll definitely put Declan Rice there. Declan Rice, I mean, his impact has been very much felt at Arsenal in that midfield. Declan Rice is the top player. He's improved their midfield, he's improved their team. One of the best signings this season for sure. I think the reason why I'll pick Opama ahead of him again is just being able to carry the team. It's like every Chelsea player even knows that. See, when times are tough, give Palmer the ball and let him go to work. I think that's just a different class entirely. Not every player can do that, no matter how good they are. So I'll say
to add to that quickly, see, I feel like he also leaves a bigger hole in the Chelsea team if he was to, like, let's say Palmer didn't join Chelsea versus like Rice not joining Arsenal. I feel like for sure Rice not joining Arsenal would affect them as well, but I think you guys would probably still be a top 3 team easily, even without Rice being there. But I think he's the one that then solidified that, call it first place that you guys held for so long, where you were just
which long?
maybe not long, but okay, not long. Sorry. But you get the point I'm trying to make, because it's like he put you guys up there or like just stabilize you guys up there rather instead of like the whole fluctuation. If Palmer wasn't at Chelsea this season, we might, as funny as it sounds, we might be fighting for relegation.
No,
But,
it's very,
but,
very possible that would have happened.
but yes,
Okay.
anyways, go on, I
I'll
see.
say
Sorry.
for my third one, I'm just trying to think. I would have gone Spurs. I don't know. I guess it would depend on how Spurs season goes. I definitely won't go with Madison, but I think
Yeah,
Vicario, the goalkeeper, has had a good time
yeah,
at,
I
at
think so.
Spurs. Earlier in the season, especially, the guy was fantastic. Making saves, helping them keep clean sheets. It's just that Postecoglou, his style of play is very,
Questionable.
very questionable sometimes.
Questionable.
But I think he has done a good job. And then my dark horse would be Endo at Liverpool. I
Yeah.
think that he's one of those guys that has really made
Yo.
an impact in Liverpool's midfield, and it doesn't. It's not a flashy player. He doesn't get the plaudits, but I think he has been very good in Liverpool's midfield for sure.
Nah, I actually appreciate you for calling out Endo because he has been so good for Liverpool, especially considering the circumstances where they went for him last minute after they missed out on Casado. And like he has become like a very, like, I don't want to overestimate, but like he has been an important player for them this
Yeah,
season because he's doing his job, he's going there, getting the work done and deeping.
and that man
Um
is 31, so it's not. It's not like
you know,
some
and
youngster.
coming from Bundesliga, to Prem in such a situation, I feel like he has done a great job. But yeah, Andrew, you want to let us in on your
Top
top
three signings.
Yeah,
Oh, it's same. I'll just rearrange it. Obviously Palmer, I'll put Palmer second, just because I feel like it's just penalties on the stats, just
yeah.
penalties.
As you just said, the
Um,
penalty shot, he has more non-penalty goals than Saka this season. Well,
yeah,
continue.
Saka is more. I'm more comparing him with Saka.
Yeah, no, I'm
more
just
career
saying.
Why
hat
do you
trick than Saka ever in the
Saka
Prem.
to the argument? But yeah,
Just saying.
Palmer is in my top three. Palmer definitely. McAllister definitely, and the best out of the three. Rice as usual.
Mm.
So yeah, that's my top three. So it's Rice, Palmer, and then McAllister for me.
Fair enough.
I was
That's
about to
fair.
put Doku there, but I like him
Doku,
personally. Yeah,
guy.
just because because you can't really come into Man City and make an impact. That's normal. Like he's already Man City. What are you going to do? You can't really change anything. But he's an exciting player, like very exciting player. And I feel like if he was in any other team aside from Man City, we'll be praising him highly. But Man City, the work is off his shoulders. He doesn't need to do as much. He doesn't even play as much minutes as he would have played if he was in any other team. But
Yeah,
You know,
fair
I
enough.
feel
so
like if he was in
You have
West
a
Ham,
point.
he would dominate West Ham.
my only thing with Jeremy Doku is that I feel like for the kind of excitement that he brings to the field, unfortunately for him, his stats don't kind of match up. He's this guy
Yeah,
that like he's going to be a threat no matter what fullback he's going up against. If Doku had like 9 goals and 14 assists or something crazy like that, I think I'll definitely have him, in my top three. But it's like, okay, 3 goals scored, 6 or 7 assists. It's like, it's nice, but even Jack Grealish can pull up those numbers. Sterling was getting those numbers. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
See, it's not really about numbers for me. That's why I put him. That's why I put him as like my,
that
like my
course.
wild card pick. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not really about numbers. It's just because of how exciting it is to watch him. Even the fact that I don't like Man City at this moment, I still like
But
watching this
no,
guy play.
but Andrew, one thing I'll add there though is I feel like it's nice watching him on his day. And in all honesty, he has not had many of those in the league this season. Like it's the games that have been he's been really good, he's been really good. But the games where he's not been really good, he's not. And it's like the person that is bouncing him to a certain extent or he's fighting with is Grealish. And Grealish hasn't been even that good either. So I feel like it also speaks to how average he's been. If Grealish is keeping you on the bench, honestly. But yeah. I think for me, Sha, my own top three very easy. Palmer number one for sure. I had Rice at the top of my list for the longest time. But I think Palmer the last 2-3 weeks has just shown me that yeah, like he's that guy. Because I've had my doubts with him too. It's just like, with certain players, I'm just like, okay, everything is just going well for you. Type like I feel like that's how I've looked at Palmer for the most part, but he just keeps showing more and more where I'm like, okay, you know what, this guy might actually be, he might actually be that good, and it's not just like call it like a fluke season. But yeah, I have Palmer first. I have Rice second for sure, and my third pick is Kudus. Kudus is my number
No.
3.
Yeah,
I
Kudus
feel like
was
he's
very
had,
exciting.
Mohamed Kudus is a
yeah,
very, very
man,
good
and I feel
player.
like he's had such an impact in West Ham, especially for a team that is kind of so defensive to an extent, right? And when it comes to the attack, like they have Paqueta, they have Bowen, but he's still been able to like make an impact. So it's like, come on, like, because when he first came, like, I mean, it didn't take him long to start, but he had to show something first for Moyes to like be like, you know what, I'll start this guy.
Yeah.
And ever since, like, very high impact player, like he doesn't do too much, and he's also so good on the ball. Like, I think that's one underestimated part of his game where, like, just retaining ball possession, dribbling, keeping it simple. Like, he's really good at that, right? And I mean, we saw that with even Ghana as well. Like, despite Ghana not doing so well, you could see Kudus shining. But yeah, I think that's my top 3. I don't know that I have a dark horse. Well,
I mean, at least we all agreed on Palmer and Declan
and
Rice.
Rice,
So.
Yeah, that's what matters.
I think those two definitely. Any serious top 3 lists for signings this season you have to have those two guys in there. Yeah. So I guess as we round up, I don't know if there's anything anyone wants to touch on before we.
No, I think we're good.
Listening. No, okay. Ayo T, thanks a lot for joining this episode today.
Always good to have you.
Always good to have you, bro. And for sure, I know it won't be the last. So
next one we'll have drinks. Don't worry.
Yeah, next one definitely should be in person. Like, maybe if for any reason any of us are visiting Ottawa, or like if you're in Toronto, like I think that's the next. That's the next thing. We'd have like an in-person episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining me.
Always
today.
A pleasure.
Yeah, no worries. And thanks to everyone for listening up until this point.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. The
usual. Yeah, and
press all the buttons.
Don't forget to check out Eagles Tracker as well. For all your Nigerian dudes. Yeah. Peace, guys.
Peace.